Hello, everybody. Welcome to our talk today. This is sponsored by Republic Services, and we have a great team of people here to talk about the Vallejo Food Rescue Project and also a law that kind of prompted this whole entire project. So I am Stephanie O'Sligo-Jordan. I'm the local food program manager at Sustainable Solano. And what I have been working on is really connecting farmers to the community. So I'm kind of at the beginning phase of the food system. And of course, we know once that food gets to us, we eat it, hopefully. Ideally, we don't waste it, but that's what we're going to be talking about today is the food waste part of this whole food system. I thought really quickly I might share just a quick visual that internally we've been using to look at our food system. This is used primarily by the Solano Local Food System Alliance. And so, here's our farmers down here at the bottom. And there's all these little sections that, fall into the food system. The policy, the institutional customers, the kids who are getting school meals, the regular consumers, and then there's equity that needs to be worked into this entire thing. And so, food waste is really something that flows through all of these pillars and is now kind of up here at this level, community awareness and support. And the project that we're going to be delving into today is really going to talk about how the community awareness and support in the food waste space can be amplified. So I'm going to stop that now. So I just want to welcome to the talk three people who will be also leading the discussion. The first is Marie Knutson. She's the recycling coordinator for Republic Services, specifically in Benicia. We have Heather Pierini, who is the executive director of Food is Free Solano. There's Heather, hello. And then Lauren Gucik is another program manager at Sustainable Solano, and she and I were recently working on a youth cooking pilot program, but she is also working very closely with Heather on the Vallejo Food Rescue Project. So she kind of has two jobs for the price of one, I guess. So first, I'm going to turn it over to Marie, who will talk a little bit about the law at the state level that has really instigated and put all of this food waste into motion at institutional levels as well as residential levels. So go ahead, Marie. I'm going to turn it over to you, and I will work on sharing your little presentation.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Happy to be here and be with all these great people. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about is the food waste program, mostly the new law that has come out that started January 1st, and that is SB 1383. So Stephanie, if you can put my first slide up, please.
Yep, let me go ahead and do.
So why do we need to do all this food waste? Well, if you look at what we have going to the landfill, the picture is what it looks like at the transfer station when the truck dumps there. That's, you put it in your garbage can, it goes to the curb, truck picks it up, it goes away, right? Well, it really doesn't go away. That is one of our trucks emptying, just like it would if it picked up your garbage off the curb in Benicia. And when those trucks go to the transfer station, they push everything down into a hole, and it falls into a semi truck, and the semi trucks hold 22 tons, and those semi trucks are going back and forth to the landfill all day long. Each one makes about 7 trips per day, and there's 6 of them. So if you do the math on that, that equals about 924 tons of garbage, or 1,848,000 pounds of garbage per day getting buried in the landfill just from this transfer station. So we're running out of room in the landfills. So CalRecycle, the state agency that oversees garbage and diverting garbage, looked at what is in the landfill, what can they get out that can help so the landfills don't fill up so fast. And they realized 56% of what is in the landfills is organic waste, which is food waste and food soiled paper. So by pulling that out, we're going to have a lot less going in the trash. And also, as you've probably heard, food rotting in the landfill causes methane gas, which is 84 times more potent than the carbon dioxide from cars. And it's increasing the climate change, which we're seeing more wildfires, higher temperatures. We're worried about sea rise. It's just causing so many problems. So this new law, SB 1383, is requiring that food waste and food soiled paper are pulled from the landfill. So next slide, please.
Okay, hold on. I don't know why.
No problem.
I might need to stop. That's odd. Not going. A little arrow
Okay.
button. Hold on. Let me stop the share. Let me do that again. It's so bizarre. Okay. Share. Oh, okay. Just a minute here. It worked.
Maybe if it's not on full screen, if you can.
Let me do
That's
this.
the next one. But while you're doing that, so SB 1383 is one of the biggest laws that has happened since probably 1979 when they started rolling out recycling, and we were all in shock of oh, what do we do? Well, SB 1383 was pretty tough and pretty fast. And before Cal Recycle would allow you to do a good faith effort, you know, you're really trying to divert stuff. Well, now it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. They had very specific requirements. And even though this is rolled out, this is what's taking so long for the full food waste program to be in Benicia. Some of the things, can you get it back to that slide?
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
You
I'm
just
gonna
leave it
keep
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
So some of the parts of SB 1383 was that organics, which is food waste and food soiled paper, needed to go in a separate container so that it could be collected and sent to a facility to turn into compost. So they require that as of January 1st this year. So you can put that in your yard waste cart now if you're a Benicia resident. Benicia businesses have been able to do this for a while. So why haven't we been shouting that from the rooftops? Well, there's a lot that goes into that. You can put it in your yard waste cart now, but it's still being picked up bi-weekly. And part of it is we need to switch to picking up your yard waste cart weekly, which means a big increase in service. It means more trucks for us, more drivers, education out there. And I don't know if you can still see me. Can they? We have 10,000 of these kitchen pails coming to distribute out to households and to multifamily units. Some businesses were allowed to get them for their lunchrooms, but that's part of what we're working on there. They had to be designed, produced, and a plan for that. Also, there's the food recovery part of the law, and Heather will talk more about that and how food should go to people first, animals second, composting third. So if there is food that's usable from a restaurant or a grocery store, we want to get that to people and feed people first. So a lot of that, we had to look at whether it was a grocery store, bigger ones that were tier ones, like you see in my notes there, or is it a smaller restaurant or a school, and that's a tier 2. So we're working on that plan there that the city will be responsible for. Another one is the confusion because different cities have different color carts. So what do we do? Were we going to do just the lids so you knew what to put in what one? Were we going to switch out the whole cart? The ones that the businesses have, the big, large metal outside containers, if we have to go with a color system, those all have to be repainted. And it's universal colors, as in black or gray for trash, blue for recycling, green for yard waste and food waste. Again, gray or black for trash, blue for recycling, or green for food waste or yard waste. So switching all that out and making a plan for that is pretty intense. And last, the city had to figure out, okay, all of this compost and yard waste and food waste is coming in. Well, the state says, well, then you have to be able to take this much back and use that compost. So there had to be plans of how they could do that. So next slide, I just want to clarify what is organics and what is food waste that goes to be composted. Well, it's all food and food soil paper. We want to make sure that if you're putting it in your yard waste cart, don't use plastics, no pet waste, and single-use utensils, even if they say they're compostable, they're really not. They just break down in the landfill faster. So never put any single-use the knives, forks, spoons that you would use for picnics and that in there, or get from a to-go place. Pizza boxes are great. Your coffee filters, the plates that can go, especially the Chinette ones that are more rough and kind of dull colored, those break down really well. The one, if it's shiny on both sides, well, if you're not sure, try and tear it. See if you can tear that container. Some microwavable ones just aren't. They really have more plastic in it than you think. And Stephanie asked me about bags. She was going to show, oh, there's one of her containers, and that one is more like a Chinette plate, just kind of cardboardy-ish, tears easy. You know you can compost that. So that's a great one to, if you're purchasing stuff or getting things from a restaurant, to look for the restaurants that have those. Pizza boxes can go in there. Your yard waste, as it always has, flowers, apples, and the bags, which those kind of little bags fit in your little containers. Look for the BPI approved 6400 series. So you can see the 6400 on there. Those ones will break down at our compost facility. Those are accepted. So no plastic, compostable bags, yes. Or you can always use a good old Rayleigh's paper grocery bag or newspaper and roll it up in that to help you keep your outside cart a little cleaner. We're hoping that we can have the big full rollout and shout it from the rooftops around September. Excuse me, right now it just has to go before city council. So that's what will be the next step. So watch for that for the next city council meeting. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Let's see, if you're listening, write down this phone number, 707-694-4570. Again, 707-694-4570. And maybe we can put that in the chat.
Yeah, I'll add that to the chat. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Any questions, just give me a yell.
All right. Thank you, Marie. That was very informative and helpful to kind of get the background. I know some of us were hearing about it, and then, like you say, it's like, how come we don't have all these bins all of a sudden descending on all of our cities everywhere? So, yes, it's there is complexity to that.
Stephanie, do you want people to be putting questions in the chat for the question and answer period later?
Sure, you can, or I can also unmute you guys later. So feel free to type things in the chat and then I can kind of field them, or do the raised hand button and then we can unmute you at the end. Perfect. So now I'm going to turn it over to Lauren Gucik, who is, for those of you who joined a little bit late, she's a Sustainable Solano program manager, and she has been the lead from our organization partnering with Heather Pierini at Food is Free Solano on a new EPA grant that we received, which is part of their environmental justice collaborative problem solving grant program to work with all of the food waste. So Lauren, over to you.
You're muted. You're still muted, Lauren.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience with me. As Stephanie said, my name is Lauren Gucik. So let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. I currently live in Oakland, California on Ohlone land, and I was born in Ohio, which is the land of the Erie people. And my family is descendant from the Slavic regions of the world, which is Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Hungary. And I come to this work because I love food and I love people and I love the planet, and food rescue sort of intersects with all of those things. So I will share my screen and take a quick minute to describe to you this project that is really a unique expression of community really caring for each other. And so this is the Vallejo Food Rescue Project, and our tagline is creating connection, feeding people, and keeping the air clean. And the main partners, the EPA, Office of Environmental Justice, is funding a collaboration between Vallejo, and I know we have Raquel Marie on the phone with us today, who's the executive director, and it stands for We Always Help Each Other. And then there's Food is Free Solano with Heather, and Cristal is also present. And then there's Free Bites, which is an emerging innovative tech company, which was started by Kim Kwok out of UC Davis. And she has built a food rescue app that she is customizing for this program. And then Sustainable Solano, which many of you know, and I am just starting working with them. So the outcomes of this grant is we're really looking to increase communication and collaboration among communities. We also are looking to increase food security, which means people having access to fresh, healthy, culturally relevant food so that they can actually have better health. And we know that COVID-19 did not impact all communities in the same way. And so we are really looking to uplift those communities whose health really got burdened extra by COVID-19. You heard Marie so beautifully talk to us about why edible food that goes into the landfill is bad for our planet. It's also just bad for our relationships. You know, if someone has extra, we really believe it's their responsibility to share with their neighbors. And I know, I'm sure most of the people on this call in their hearts really feel that as well, that it's time to share our resources with one another. And then another outcome is about expanding this program to other cities in Solano County. So currently the funding is happening in Vallejo, but you'll hear from Heather later that Food is Free Solano is working across the county as well as growing. And these are the kinds of programs that need to connect regionally as well as nationally, as we really start to look at what our planet and people need to be healthy. So our deliverables, we're going to host 4 community meetings. We're going to be adding partners to the structure. There is the amount of food that is sort of air quote rescued, and we're really looking at a multi-tiered structure because people have many different needs and we want to meet them where they are. So for people who aren't able to prepare food for themselves, whether that's because of their ability or momentarily, or they don't have access to spaces. We want to be able to move pre-made meals as well as fresh food. So for those people who are able to cook for their families, have that dignified ability to cook for themselves. And the two other big deliverables, which are going to be really a community effort, is this toolkit to share with other cities, such as Benicia or Fairfield, or out of the county. And we're also going to be partnering with Kim to have an app that will really make the communication between that place where the extra food is and the place where the people are going to eat it, that transition. So just a little bit about the funding is we want you to know that the EPA funded what they're calling a historic amount of programs this year, almost double than what they did last year, because we all understand that the time is now to come together and to solve the environmental crisis that we're dealing with. But we were the only food rescue program funded this year in the entire United States. And we received $200,000, which can be spent over 2 years. And this is a collaborative problem-solving grant, which is really important because for us to meet our goals, we have to make this as collaborative as possible. And our program leads at the EPA have said that we have a really amazing opportunity to change the entire country's mind on compost and food sharing. So this is a really exciting time to be building together because we have a very large microphone. So before I pass this on, I did want to highlight this collaborative problem-solving model. I know we have multiple people on the call from our team, and so if folks do want to jump in at this point, I'll just read these little seed points here. But the main takeaways from this model is that we have to have a multi-stakeholder partnerships, which is people from all over the city, the recycling centers, community members. And it's about building power at the community level and setting goals together. And so equity is truly our focus here, making sure that those people who have been the most impacted by environmental burdens, which is mainly people of color and also low-income folks, that their voices are elevated and held safe in the conversation. And so we're going to be really looking at what does consensus building look like and what does dispute resolution look like. And that means on an individual level as well as an organizational level, because we're really about dissolving systems of injustice and cultivating systems of transformation and providing equitable service for all. So I don't know if there's anyone from our team who does want to jump in and add any extras before I go on to the last slide that we'll have the sort of details about next steps and dates and things like that. But yeah, does anybody from the team want to add anything? I could stop sharing too.
You know, there was someone who had their hand raised, but now I don't see the hand
That was
raised.
Rhonda. I saw Rhonda Zuniga. She's actually part of our Food is Free Solano programming. Amazing.
Hi, Rhonda. Well, you know what? I know we're here for, we have many topics to talk about. So what I will do is share my screen again, because as I said, we want all voices at the table so that we can really build solutions that work for everyone. So our next community meeting is August 17th at 6 p.m. at the Vallejo JFK Library. And we're going to have snacks and charrettes and creative activities to really engage with one another. And we also later on this summer will have a beta test available of the Free Bites app. And we'll be looking for people who are really interested to play around with the technology and make it as user-friendly as possible for our communities so that we can launch it early next year in 2023 for the larger community. And then because I have this lovely hat and I have all your beautiful attention, we are currently looking for more funding for the app development and for staffing. Heather will share how Food is Free has grown. We know that for this program to be truly rooted in equity, we have to be paying people well for their time. And so I'll leave that there. And I think we're taking questions at the end, but any one of us can answer any questions. And I really appreciate being here with all of you. I have a total plug of, I can't wait for all the summer gardens to start putting themselves into this food app, and all the zucchini that I know that we grow so beautifully, and all the food that's coming to really make it onto the plates of our community members. So thank you.
That was amazing, Lauren. Thank you so much. From my food stand in front of my house, I'm already seeing the zucchini. The zucchiniing is happening. Definitely happening. And I'm seeing apricots and plums and pluots and all of these wonderful fruits and vegetables start coming into our food stands and through our programs, which warms the cockles of my heart. So let's see. I'm Heather Pierini. I am with Food is Free Solano, and I've met some of you. I recognize lots of names, but there are a lot of new people here as well. And I want to just kind of show a little bit about what Food is Free is and how we got to the point of creating the Vallejo Food Rescue Project and applying for a federal grant where we're building infrastructure and capacity and all of these big things. So I'm going to share my screen if I can still figure out how to do it. And share. Oops, wrong button. Wrong button. Did not want to do that one. Slideshow. How about that? All right, everybody. So I put our adorable logos up here because they make me happy. And then what is Food is Free Solano? It's an organization that works to eliminate food insecurity. But what we're doing that's kind of happening in a little bit of a different way, we're recognizing the power and potential of our community and really working to bring resources to groups already doing work within their communities. So we're not seeking to kind of replace anybody who's already got a niche and already doing work within their community. So you hear me talk about my food stand. This is my overgrown food garden and the little stand in front of my house. This is where it started. I heard about the Food is Free project years ago, and it's an open source idea that we grow food in our front yards and we give it away to our neighbors. And I loved it because that's how I was raised. I was raised with gardening. I learned how to grow lots of food and give away what was excess because someone has to take those zucchini. Then COVID happened. So I had this adorable little food stand. COVID happened and things got real big, real fast. We thought, let's find some more places to have food stands. We got more food stands. And then we thought, that's not enough food. There's more people in our community in need. Let's find more food. And so I found food programs through the federal government for us to work with. You'll see Megan Friedman, Raquel Marie Clark, and me in a picture there. You'll see a giant truckload of produce from Amore Acres in there. And we built connections. We made collaborations. We met people. We drew in volunteers from the community, and we got over 4 million pounds of food out to people in Solano County. And we built programs. So we built these programs that bring food out in unique ways and innovative ways, and that bring food into the system in unique and innovative ways. We were just named Nonprofit of the Year by California Assemblywoman Lori Wilson for District 11, which was a really amazing honor. And one thing that I wanted to talk about is how do we bring food into the program? One of the ways that we thought of early on was gleaning, because there's food growing in our communities right now. And if we can tap into that food and find ways to pick it and then distribute it to our community through food stands, through food distributions, through organizations that already go and feed people, Meals on Wheels or Community Action, or any of the different programs that already do this, that would be a very good use of our time. So we developed the Solano Gleaning Initiative to pick local produce. Some people actually planted seeds and grew plants to give away to help people share what they have, and also lessen the burden of having a large tree that might produce too much fruit for you and your family. We can take some of that produce, get it out to the community. So we started with the Solano Gleaning Initiative as our first food rescue idea. But then learning about SB 1383 led us to the development of the food rescue program. So SB 1383, the steps for food rescue are, we want to get edible food to humans. Then anything that's no longer okay for humans, let's get it to animals. And then if it's not good for animals, let's get it to a biodigester and do some resource recovery. Or let's get it to a compost facility and turn it into soil. And that to me seemed like a natural growth, I mean, pun intended, of our gleaning program. And in collaboration with Sustainable Solano, we wrote for this environmental justice grant through the EPA, and we received it. So what is food rescue? It's not just gleaning. It's not just going out to a grocery store and taking pallets of food. It's keeping the good food out of the landfill, picking up the extra food, and distributing to those in need. So we've developed this Vallejo Food Rescue Project with the EPA EJ grant. And we have this awesome location out at the fairgrounds where we're able to receive food. We can receive trucks, we can receive vans, we can do it by carload, and we can distribute food. So we don't just have the capacity to bring food in and then large trucks have to come again and take it out. What we have is the capacity to aggregate the good food and then distribute in large volume to individuals, but also to other organizations so that those organizations can get their people fed. So this is just a picture of some of our volunteers at some of the different events. And I really appreciate you taking the time learning about food rescue in Solano County. And we'll share the information on volunteering, getting more information, or requesting some gleaning. You can look on our website, foodisfreesolano.org. But I know that we're going to have a lot of questions about this. So I kind of went through this quickly, just talking a little bit about how Food is Free developed, what food rescue is for our program, and then kind of let's talk about how SB 1383 is getting implemented in our area. Let's talk about the steps we can take as residents of either Benicia. I know a lot of you guys are in Benicia, or Vallejo, or Solano County, or California. What are the next steps we take to kind of reduce this organic waste, get it cycled to the right direction, so that we can get the food to people, get the food to animals, then do some resource recovery and compost.
Thank you, Heather. I'm going to jump in really quick. I'm one of the people that co-wrote this grant with Heather, and hooray, we got it. But one thing that was an important part of it was to keep all of these food rescue actions on what we were calling a hyper-local level. So just to clarify kind of what that means and to put it into context. So let's say I live in Fairfield. Once, well, right now this whole thing's being piloted in Vallejo, but ultimately the goal is to have it roll out countywide, where I can say, okay, I'm in Fairfield. I really only want to get information about a restaurant in Fairfield or a grocery or gleaning or whatever it is. The goal is so we are not trucking food from Vallejo all the way to Dixon and vice versa. It's really about keeping the community's food that is appearing, whether it's on a tree in a backyard or a restaurant, within that same community. So Definitely. Just think about that, everybody, and how, it's like a little microsystem of exchange and channeling the food, and then amongst the partners on the ground really need to be key in all of this as well. So
that the app that Kim is developing is going to be an integral piece of that communication between those who have the food and then those who are going to receive the food. Right now, I'm doing a lot of that manually. I'm doing all of it manually, and so we have brought on some staff. So Food is Free has grown from having that little food stand to now we have a program manager, Cristal Gallegos, who's here with us tonight. working with the Vallejo Food Rescue Project. We have for our Park at Market program, which brings produce out to childcare centers and healthcare centers and senior sites, that sort of thing. We have a program manager and a market specialist working in that area. We have Raquel Marie from Vallejo helping us work on development. And we have this extraordinary team of great volunteers who are helping us kind of continue on with the process of, oh, well, we just got in all this food. Let's get this out to our community so that they can have what they need. So did we want to, let's see, I actually ended early. So we wanted to, sorry, I'm looking at my notes now. So what are we doing about food rescue right now? What is happening in food rescue right now? So right now, we are actively rescuing food throughout the county. So sometimes food comes from the Vacaville School District. They'll have excess food from their school food programs. Sometimes food will come from a local restaurant or from a gleaning where one of the volunteers went out and picked a tree in a neighborhood, or where food comes from excess from a grocery store or something like that. And all of those activities are under the umbrella of food rescue. And what we're doing right now is building our systems and building our infrastructure so that we can send someone to pick up food, or we can connect the person who has the food with the person or the organization that's going to receive the food without it meeting us. Because it's not about Food is Free Solano or the Vallejo Food Rescue Project getting the food. It's about moving the food from one to the other. So I think that that's an important piece, and how we look at our developing this is that we don't want to, and like Stephanie said, we don't want to move food too far. We don't want to be shifting food from the top of the county to the bottom and then back again. We would love to keep things as local as possible so that we're reducing our greenhouse gas emissions while we're building this. And for numbers, so one thing to recognize, we just got this funding and started up on the grant March 1st, I believe was the first date we could do activities. And we've already moved 40,000 pounds of food through the Vallejo Food Rescue Project. And that's only for operations in Vallejo. And I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's a pretty good piece of numbers. And then, so this is about the Vallejo Food Rescue Project, but how does that connect to Benicia? And how do we, if you are a resident of Benicia and here because of Republic Services being your waste provider, how does this apply to you? We're spreading out past Vallejo. That was simply the first piece that was funded, but we're actively doing food rescue in lots of different areas. From Vacaville and Dixon all the way down to Benicia, Fairfield, Sassoon. We're not really in Rio Vista much yet, but we are working on trying to build some capacity there. So, so that's what I can say, is that we're on our way, and it's we started here in Benicia, so I think that is, we have a deep tie to this community and to how we responded early on during COVID. So let's see.
So there were a couple of things that came up in the chat, actually.
Okay, great.
And I was gonna.
Yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh no, go ahead, Stephanie. My bad. I can wait.
So I think you probably saw Marie's question about, do you have to be tech savvy to use this app? And the answer is hopefully no. We want this to be super user friendly to anybody, you know.
And that's what we're doing the community meetings on. That's one of the huge pieces of the community meetings. Number one, we're talking to the community, and we're bringing in hopefully a very diverse group from the community. People who produce food, everybody uses food, that's for sure. People who distribute food, people who might have excess food. So all of those players, we want to bring them all together, and let's talk and let's figure out what the issues are, and do that in a way that really gives gives weight to the people that are impacted by the problem. So that's one of the pieces. And then the tech piece, recognizing that not everyone has equal access to tech. Not everyone has equal skill with tech, and getting that input and information early on while we're working on the interface, while we're working on the development of this, is going to help us make it as accessible as possible. And part of this will be education on how to use it. Part of this will be helping organizations that distribute food, helping them learn how to use it, helping them teach their clients how to use it. So I think that that's, I don't know if anyone from the team wants to step up on that one, but I think that's our major goal with the tech, is to make it very accessible and to really have a lot of input during the community meetings to talk about it. What were the other questions?
So, well, Marie had put out there, if we have food to share, what do we do? Who do we contact? I mean, right now, I think the action is to sign up for the Gleaning Initiative. Heather, correct me if I'm wrong. So, you know, it is summer. Many of us may have trees. So that could be one action that happens. If you go to foodisfreesolano.org, there will be an option to sign up and register so that if you do have a tree that needs picking, it can be picked. And then we mentioned the community meeting. And I believe we do have, let's see, there is an Eventbrite for that, right, Lauren?
Yeah, Stephanie, if you don't mind, may I share my screen and show everyone the way to sign up your tree?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Able to share, and sharing capability?
Yes, I will share right now. So, oh wait, maybe I thought I had it right up here. Sorry, one second. You know what, actually, Stephanie, if you don't mind, I dropped the link in the chat.
Yeah, I think I see it here.
If you don't mind sharing, sorry for.
Yeah, let me see if I can, let me just pull it up really quick and then.
And Raquel Marie did say in the chat that there is an email address called gleaning@foodisfreesolano that people can email. But yeah, if we could show people the way to sign up for the tree, I think that'd be cool. And also, I did notice in the chat while you're pulling that up, someone mentioned that there are many other food rescue apps out there. And absolutely, those are a part of the research and design. What is so special about this partnership with Free Bites is that Kim actually approached Heather very early on in this. And this is an opportunity for that business to grow while also customizing something that already exists. So the Free Bites app is operational and functional at Davis, and now it's about applying that here in our own region.
And one of the things that because I have downloaded many of the other apps, and we're working on all of that. Oh, Kim, you want to chat? Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Erin and as well as Marie for asking you questions earlier about tech access. I think that's a really important key part in further solidifying this app and expanding it. We want to make sure that it's not just a tool that makes things efficient, but the input of the people is really integrated into fully building this out and making it accessible as much as possible for everyone. And then as for the existing food rescue apps, you're totally right, Erin. There's a lot out there, and it's definitely not a new idea. But the hope with Free Bites is, to take the lessons from these existing apps and to make it better. Like, there are definitely ways that could be improved upon, and we're hoping to take that research and improve on maybe features that they may be lacking in or just don't have, and build that into a more holistic solution within Free Bites. And
I remember, Heather, you had mentioned that you signed up for some food rescue apps, and they were saying that there was no food moving in Solano County, but yet you were the one moving millions of pounds of food. So there was definitely a disconnect, like your work was not on their radar. Anyway, you could probably speak to that, but there was some flaws.
Yeah. We were just having issues because a lot of the apps were not based locally, and they didn't have part of the power of this program, and I think of the app and of kind of all of these different organizations working together right now, and that is integral to the EPA program, is that it's a collaborative program. It's not based on one organization getting money and providing a product. It's based on an organization reaching out to connect with other organizations and lift all of them together, and to have a shared resource versus a singular resource. And that is one of the big, powerful pieces of this entire program that I'm very proud of. I'm very proud to be part of this. So to sign up to Glean Your Tree, I'll talk them through it, Lauren, if you click.
And let me go back to I was
okay. Oh,
sharing.
I don't know who was on there.
I know. Okay. Let me do this. Here we are.
Sorry, Steph. Okay, so this is our Food is Free Solano website. I click on Gleaning, which is under Programs, to get here. So there's Park It Market, and then there's Gleaning. And if you want to learn about any of the other programs, you can do that as well. So the Solano Gleaning Initiative, all you're doing is signing up for those. You can email Cristal Gallegos. You can fill out. Cristal's email address is right here in the description. You can fill out our form that I have embedded in the webpage, where you give your name, your email, contact information, address, so that we're able to really connect volunteers with the trees, connect, and hopefully what we're working on is getting these pieces connected locally. So we have Benicia volunteers able to hit Benicia trees instead of sending Benicia volunteers to Vacaville and Vacaville volunteers to Benicia. So it's a lot of matchmaking. It's really kind of funny. And then if you want to be a volunteer, we have another form just below. Google Forms should make me pay money, I think, at this point. But this is this is our form. If you want to become our list of gleaning volunteers, and we can contact you when a gleaning opportunity comes about. And then here's a flyer for the outreach. So some people want to do gleaning in their neighborhood, and they just want to talk to their neighbors about it. And so they can print these flyers and put their phone number on them and drop them off at their neighbor's mailbox. Say, hey, right on the back, I saw you've got a loquat tree, and I could totally get this out to a bunch of families. Would you like to share? Or and it's building those interpersonal connections, those community connections, that is such a powerful piece of this, because I now know so many more of my neighbors because of my food stand, because of that little table in front of my house. I know that Barbara does this, and I know that these other people do this, and that I know that when I'm not there, there are people who come through and pick up food. And so all of these bits and pieces where someone will drop off zucchini and someone else will pick it up without me having to be a go-between, that's the beauty and magic of a food stand, in my opinion. And this is another piece, this gleaning piece, where you can really make those kind of community connections. So just talks about where you're available, what you're thinking about. Is there more on that page? I don't think so. Oh, wait, there's a flyer. There's a flyer you can print if you need to download the PDF. So that's the gleaning page. So if you're interested in having your trees picked, if you're interested in going out and maybe helping other people pick trees, you can choose to do it as a group. You can choose to do it as a family activity. You can choose to do it with new volunteers. We provide the pole pickers, so we're not sending volunteers out to someone's backyard and telling them to climb a tree. I promise we're not. What we're doing is we have these really great basket pole pickers that go out with each team, and we have plastic bins that will stack so that the fruit can be put in those bins. The volunteers get to pick what produce they want. They're talking to the homeowner or renter or making these relationships. A lot of times these trees are owned by elderly people who are not able to maintain them anymore. They're not able to maintain the volume of fruit. We can get 300 pounds of fruit off of a tree sometimes. And we make sure that that fruit then feeds the person who lives there, their neighbors, and then spreads to the greater community. So it's kind of a win-win, because I know a lot of people have seen that a lot of that tree waste ends up on the ground. And it can draw pests and things like that. And it can sometimes end up in the landfills instead of going towards compost. And so we'd much rather it feed people, especially since it's growing here on our soil now. Were there other questions we wanted to get to? So next steps are sign up for the gleaning programs, come to the community meeting in August. That's
The
definitely a
link
big one.
for the Eventbrite is in the chat now.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be held at the JFK Library in Vallejo. I almost said Vacaville for some reason. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little tired tonight. And then there's emails to contact us. And then if you have food to share. So not all the food that we deal with for food rescue is from a tree. We take food that's prepared food. We take food that is bulk food. We take dented cans and broken boxes, and we take good boxes and food that just wasn't the type of food that your family liked. You bought the big thing at Costco and your kid decided they don't like that flavor of ramen anymore. Why would you ever think they would like that flavor of ramen? And you end up, I have gotten so much of that in. It's hilarious. That's the type of food we can bring in through food rescue. If food needs to be, the food stands themselves throughout the county can accept non-perishables and whole produce. If food is from a restaurant, if food is prepared food, it needs to be managed safely. And that is a big part of building our infrastructure and capacity for food rescue from restaurants, from caterers, that sort of thing, from event sites. So like from Bottle Rock, from any kind of events that are happening, there's often leftovers. And if we can keep that from going into that dumpster and get it to people in need, that's a win, in my opinion. So Lauren posted in the chat that there's a Waste Not, Want Not class at Avant Garden that Lisa Nunez is going to be doing on what date? Tomorrow, right? Tomorrow.
And I think actually, Lisa, is that you who'd like to make a comment on gleaning?
Ooh, wonderful.
Yeah, she wanted to do that too.
Yes. Hi there.
Hi.
Nunez Hancock, and I was involved in the Fallen Fruit projects in Los Angeles, I think in the late 90s, early aughts when we started it there. And so taking what Heather has said about community gleaning, we created maps by neighborhoods. And then the cards that you created, Heather, would be really helpful in that, you know, we contacted neighbors who had trees, let's say a lemon tree and a plum tree, and reached out to them. If they responded, then we created an event with participants, and then we would take the fruit. And we had jam sessions is one example. So we would go to a community, kind of community hub, and I taught how to put up preserves.
I love that.
We also, and it brought the community together. So the family that had the tree came, learned how to can their fruits. And it sort of, it was community building, but it was a little bit beyond just giving it away. It was educating the community in how to utilize this bounty.
I love that. And I would love to see something develop like that out of our programming. I can definitely see a community kitchen being one of the pieces that comes from this. And yeah, there's just so many ways that food impacts all of us, because it's about culture. It's about sharing that that knowledge of how does a culture keep their produce, how does a culture keep their food and store it. It's recipes, it's family history, all those wonderful pieces. And yes, Raquel Marie, I love jam sessions.
Maybe we talk about the waste not, want not at the very end.
I think we're getting close there. I want to make sure we're aware of timing.
We kind of are at the end. Lisa, if you want to just give a brief.
Yeah, why don't you come on and give a brief
on the class tomorrow? Yeah.
So tomorrow in Benicia at the Avant Garden, I'm going to be having a workshop called Waste Not, Want Not, and I'm going to be offering tips and techniques. And in the tips and techniques, I'm going to talk about proper ways of freezing. I'm going to emphasize zucchini and tomatoes because it's just an hour-long workshop. And then I'm going to be demoing a easy zucchini recipe for the summer. But I'm going to be talking about many of the things that we discussed today, as well as the zero waste movement, and a lot about sharing with neighbors, sharing with your community, and from a more of a kind of psychological level of giving and opening up your bounty to others. One of my taglines has been, let's be generous about food with our community during these challenging times. So I hope that you can join us. I think we're going to have some squash giveaways if we're lucky. And yeah, so that's at 5 to 6 o'clock. And it's the farmer's market. So it's a fun little shop at the farmer's market. Come and sit, join in, and yeah.
Yep. We'll have recipes, maybe some squash to give out. You guys can all meet Lisa in person too. So
that sounds great.
All right. Any more final questions, comments? I do want to circle back. Rhonda, you had your hand up at the beginning. Did you want to say anything, or did you have a question? Is she even still here? Oh no, there she is. No, maybe not. Okay, just checking in. All right, well, I think that this is it then. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. And thank you again to Marie, Heather, and Lauren for really diving in and presenting the bulk of this big project. And we will have updates on our website and also on Heather's website. Food is Free Solano, no, just, yeah.
Foodisfreesolano.org.
Foodisfreesolano.org and sustainablesolano.org. So thank you again and have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you all.
Bye. Have a great night.